how are we all doing? I hope we're having a fantastic weekend so far. It is Saturday, 26th of October 2010, and we are back with another Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. review. This episode was titled The Girl in the Flower Dress, and she wasn't too bad looking, to be perfectly honest. So this episode was basically, this woman who seems to have a huge wardrobe full of flower dresses, so she must have an addiction on that sort of thing. Catches the attention, well, her attention is caught upon a street magician who has the ability to produce fire, basically from his hands, kind of thing, and she decides to bring him in to her organisation, kind of thing. But we then find out that he was actually part of S.H.I.E.L.D's sort of group, kind of thing, in that he was made to keep a low profile, not to use his powers in public, kind of thing, and so that people don't know that he has a gift as such. So this girl in the flower dress, her name is Raina, and we don't know who she works for. Clearly we know that she's not working for S.H.I.E.L.D. It's another organisation. Well, I say we don't know who she works for, but it turns out later on in the episode we find out that it's Centipede. If you remember back in the pilot, the guy called Michael, who had the ability to, he could leap, and he's got, he's really strong, all that sort of stuff. They used this gadget on him that gave him his powers and also the extremis at the same time as well. Now the reason why his name is what's his name? Rensu Seng, who's the character, was brought in was because his ability is unique in that when he produces fire, his skin doesn't burn. So the doctor from the first episode, who Michael saved, she's working with Raina. They want to use Seng's DNA in some sense, or blood platelets, so that the extremis doesn't cause people, to die, and all the wrong things that they had with extremis. They are now realising that Seng has the ability to suppress that pain in some sense. So while this is happening, back at the hub, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents have clocked that something's happened with Seng, and we find out that someone from Rising Tide gave out information about Seng, and this person happens to be Miles, who is Sky's boyfriend in some sense. They did break up, they got back together. It's the usual on and off sort of relationship kind of thing. So so Coulson and the gang are going after him to ask him questions and this, that and the other, but Sky beat them to it. Now the fact that Sky beat them to it kind of says, it rang alarm bells, because they eventually found out that Sky met up with Miles. So it rang alarm bells. Coulson himself felt more betrayed than anybody else, because he knew, and even, well, not just him but Ward as well, even Ward would say to Coulson at the beginning, she can't be trusted. And if you remember at the second episode in the little end cameo scene with Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury, he also said that she could be a risk. So, and Coulson didn't want to believe either of them, but unfortunately they were both right. So that really does make Coulson feel betrayed in a lot of sense. But what they did to Seng was pretty bad. Also, well, they tried to big him up, right? That Raina tried to make him feel special, feel part of the team and unique in some sense. In that she even said, "We can give you a name, a code name," and she picked out Scorch. And as soon as she said Scorch, I suddenly thought of my evil twin, who's from Chicago. And I have to admit, Scorch hasn't been on Twitter recently, for various reasons, but it's all good. Don't worry, it's all good while he's not on Twitter. But as soon as it mentioned Scorch, I just thought back to him straight away. So Scorch, it looks like you got yourself on TV after all. Even if it wasn't you personally, you were noticed in some sense. So that for me was quite a high point. So yeah, that's for my boy Scorch there. So yeah, as I say, they tried to make him feel unique and special, but it was all a ruse. They wanted to steal his blood platelets, which when they did that, he suddenly felt pain and his skin was burning whenever he used his powers, to the point of where they had to, you know, Coulson and Melinda May had to do something that they didn't want to do because there was no other way of stopping him. But unfortunately, it did come to a tragic end for Seng. Unfortunately, all that aside, the issue with Sky and Miles was a whole new level of interesting experience. In that, we found out that whilst Miles was saying that he released the information for, you know, idealistic reasons, you know, freedom of human speech and all that sort of stuff, we found out that he actually got paid a hefty amount of money for it. So yeah, he was not playing ball with Sky in particular. So when it was revealed that this happened, Sky just didn't want to speak to him anymore. She didn't want to know him. So she also felt betrayed. So you see, Sky felt betrayed because of what Miles did, but then Coulson felt betrayed because of what Sky has been doing as well. And whilst she tried to defend herself for, you know, going after Miles, it just didn't really pan out well for her until her and Coulson had a chat, sort of like towards the end of the episode, and she explained why she is doing what she's doing, why she agreed to be part of S.H.I.E.L.D, why she, you know, was put in as a mole for the rising tide. So she explained everything, and even Coulson felt a bit, you know, he fell for her. You know, he sort of understood what she was feeling in a way. So again, was that the real reason? Did she use that as a cover story? Is there a deeper meaning to it as well? Because for me, whilst it was all well and good for her to say those things to Coulson, I still felt that she was still hiding something. So it remains to be seen if what she said to Coulson is the truth. I mean, it probably is the truth, but is there another hidden meaning under what she was saying to him? We'll see. The Doctor unfortunately doesn't survive, so we won't see the Doctor anytime soon. So that's that. With the girl in the flower dress, I can't even refer to her as that, but her name is Raina, obviously. What we see her doing at the end, she's talking to someone who's in prison, and it turns out that this person knows what's going on in the outside world. He's pulling some strings. She asks for him to pull another string. Whether or not he's going to do it is a whole different level of kettle of fish. Who knows where this is going to go. But what I want to say is, I know that the show itself hasn't been doing so well lately, in that a lot of people aren't really feeling the vibe that this TV show is giving as to what the movies were giving, which is fine, it's understandable. I know that people were expecting a lot more solid connections with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, we're still going to see Maria Hill in there. I'm sure other C-list characters will appear as well. I think there are some news coming in that there's going to be some, you know, well-known villains and associates appearing in the show. Again, unless you're really au fait with the Marvel universe, you're not going to know who these characters are. And I'll be the first one to say that I probably won't know who half of them are either. So because I don't read Marvel, I won't know who most of these people are. So that's that. For me, that's, you know, it's not a bad thing, because whilst I may not read the Marvel comics, I'm still aware of the universe out there. I know that Marvel exists. I know who the bigger characters are, what their purpose is, all that sort of stuff. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in a way, opens a door to such things like that. And I'm sure Marvel fans who don't read DC comics but have watched the DC movies are in the same position as well. So we're not expected to learn everything at the end of the day, but if you know of something, then it's fine. You know, it doesn't matter how big or small the information is. If you know of it, it's good. That's fine. So whilst the show has got its full season order, I think 22 episodes, people are starting, the ratings are going down quite slightly, so they really need to step up their game. But this episode was really good. I'm not going to take anything away from this episode. I thought it was really solid. It was really good. I really did enjoy it. Again, the end cut scene, the end, credit scene that they always put in, it factored with the actual episode itself, so that was okay. As long as you involve the end credit scene to do with the whole episode itself, then that's fine, then that's okay. But if you're doing it as an inside joke kind of thing, was like last week's episode, for example, with Sky putting on those glasses and seeing an X-ray version of Ward, really a bit tacky. But let's see what happens next week. Next week's episode is titled FZZT, so we'll see what happens next week anyway. But anyway, that's it from me. Thank you all for watching. See you all very soon. Bye.